What y'all listening to?
Limelight Highlight Podcast.
Welcome back to the show, your positive podcast, safe space and great place for a positive outlook on life. Can you believe it? It's already November. Time's just flying and COVID is about to have its first birthday. When are we going to get out of this? I don't know. But Halloween was last week, so I hope everybody had a safe and fun time filled with candy and all that because, no matter what they say, you can't cancel Halloween, no matter how much the government wants you to. Let's get right into it. This week's updates. The Block Gives Back had a dope decorated setup this past weekend. They gave out 152 platters along with several dozen bagels from New York Bagel Butler and 113 groceries from Sharing Excess. Those grocery boxes are a big hit. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, so I'm glad that they have that many to give out. And as they tend to have some special things go out from time to time, this past weekend they gave out over 100 gallons of milk. That's a lot of milk. Oranges, soda, loaves of bread, and a big old bag of candy because it's Halloween, and what's Halloween without some candy? They're still accepting donations, which include women's hygiene products, soap, hand sanitizer, socks, hats, gloves, chapsticks, deodorants, and lotions, and it can all be dropped off at the Block shop. And if you'd like to make a donation, a monetary donation, you can do so at theblockisback.org, theblockisback.org. All the donations are going to help the Block help others for their 5th annual end of the year John going down December 12th at 1 p.m. So pull up and participate and help out your neighbor. All the details will be listed in the show notes. Now, this week's unrelated fun fact is about our shortest month of the year, February. February doesn't have 28 days, 29 on a leap year because it's Black History Month, which is a really weird correlation that some people keep making. That's not true, so stop spreading that. But this week's unrelated fun fact is that February used to be the last month of the year, and that's why it actually has the shortest number of days. Thought that was pretty interesting. So there goes your fun fact, your unrelated fun fact of the week. So on this podcast, we are joined by Nicole Smith, who has her master's in social work, happens to be a mother of 5, and is the director of community prevention for Turning Points for Children in the Northeast Philadelphia area. We had an interesting conversation about all the work she does, how she got into the social worker field, and all the problems plaguing our youth, and what her and her team is doing to help out these kids. I always enjoy talking to people about their field of expertise, especially when it's about a subject that I have pretty much no idea what it entails. So this episode was really enlightening for me on the process of how things work, and I hope it gives you some clarity and some more hope on understanding of how the social work structure works. So yeah, without further ado, please help me welcome Nicole to the podcast. Welcome, Nicole Smith.
Nicole Smith.
To the podcast. I got in contact with you from Tommy from The Block Gives Back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys just did a recent event, correct?
Correct.
And you are with Turning Points.
Turning Points for Children.
And what is it exactly that you do?
So I'm the director of community and prevention for one of their community umbrella agencies. We service the lower Northeast in Philadelphia. So I'm responsible for, myself and my team, for community engagement. So we're in the community, we're giving back, we're doing events, we're doing workshops, but we're also partnering with the many great organizations that already do amazing work in the city.
And there's like more than one Turning Points in Philadelphia?
Yeah, so Turning Points, we're a private nonprofit organization. We have a lot of prevention programs. We have a foster care agency. We have food pantries. We have plenty of programs, parenting programs, but we have 4 community umbrella agencies. So we're responsible for doing case management services with the Department of Human Services, and part of these community umbrella agencies have community engagement teams where we're working with the community. So we have one in Southwest, one in West Philly, the lower Northeast, and the Northeast.
Yeah, because I was looking up Turning Points,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like Turning Points USA,
Mm-hmm.
Turning Points UK. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a bunch of different ones in different countries. So
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. We focus primarily in Philadelphia.
Nice. And just the northeastern region of Philadelphia.
Well, that's my office specifically.
Oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like different divisions
Mm-hmm.
in this area.
So Turning Points has 4 community umbrella agencies. So we do the Southwest, West, North, East, and then the Lower Northeast.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing it?
So I've been with Turning Points for almost 10 years. I've been in this current role for 6 years. Yeah.
And where did you start? Like what? How did you get involved?
Sure. So I'm a social worker. I have my master's in social work, and I started off being an in-home worker with Turning Point. So I've grown at the agency. So I was a social worker doing direct service, and then I became a supervisor, and then there was the opportunity to be the director of this program. So I went for that.
How important do you think, or how important would you consider your specific role to be?
Well, I'm biased, but I
Of
think
course.
it's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important to care for other people, to educate and share knowledge and support, and to really highlight communities. A lot of people like to tell people what to do instead of having conversations, because conversations is where you learn from people what they actually need or what's actually going on.
Yeah. What so you said you had a master's in social work?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's the schooling look like for that?
So I did my 4 years to get a bachelor's, and then I did an advanced standing program, which is just a year. But so then I got my master's.
But what, like, did you have to do any training or anything like that?
So,
like, especially to work with kids and.
Sure. For social work, you usually do internships. So depending on the courses you take, you could do more clinical focused, or you can do macro level, which you could be in the community. But there's different options when you're in social work.
And you knew you wanted to work with kids from the gate?
I knew that I wanted to change and help people, people in general. I love kids, so I think people say that. A lot of people love kids.
Yeah.
So it just works. But if I can help people in any way, that's...
And you've always been that way? Like, is that why you chose, hey, like from when you were little, I want to go do social work?
Yeah. I think that I've always been friendly and helpful. It's part of my nature. But ever since I was little, I mean, in school, I used to, I don't know, probably in the 3rd or 4th grade, would not go out for recess, and I would help the special ed class.
Oh, really? Wow.
During my lunchtime. I was always that person, always, if there was serving meals or, volunteering, I was the first one to want to do that.
Nice. Mm-hmm. What are some like greatest success stories in your opinion that you've had to be a part of while you've been working here, or just in your life in general?
Sure. So we actually did a community cleanup last year, and the Black Gives Back participated. They were wonderful, but we had a good maybe 200-300 people come out and clean up like 10 blocks on Frankfurt Ave, and it was great. It was great. We gave out resources that day. We gave community service hours that day. It was just a really good time. And
being in your role, what kind of planning does that take? And how long do you have to plan ahead for that type of stuff?
It depends. I think if you talk to my team, sometimes we're always intentional. But I think that sometimes we sit and we plan and we have deadlines. We want to accomplish this by this time and this by that time. And then there's certain days where I'm in my element and I'm like, guys, I have this great idea and I want it to happen tomorrow, so let's do it. And then my team is on board and we make it work.
How many people does your team consist of?
We're a team of 9.
Okay, mm-hmm. That's a good amount of people.
Yeah. And everybody has different roles, but they're all under the community prevention team. So they don't necessarily have to do community outreach and community engagement activities, but we work so well together and they're part of this, change movement that they're always on board.
And does it get hard managing 9 people?
no. I think that...
You guys ever have like creative differences where it's like, you know, you think of something, but somebody else thinks of something else, and obviously you're the person in charge. But anybody ever not on board, or they have some type of, you know?
Sure, I think absolutely. We create our team that we're able to collectively express ideas and come together. But ultimately, I think that I'm pretty well versed in this work, so they trust me. There is definitely opportunity and room for different options to be shared. And most of the time, you know, if the whole group thinks that it's better to go that way, we'll do it. But yeah, I mean, we're all very, very different ages, you know, ethnicities, races. So it sometimes it takes a little bit more effort, but other times it's very seamless. Did
you put the team together, or were they like?
So there are certain positions that fall under certain departments, based off of our contract. So that's part of it. But I've been in the interviewing and hiring process for my team members.
Okay, so you do get a say in like who's going to be in and who's not going to be in and stuff like that. Not to throw shade at anybody,
right?
Or
Yeah,
anything
no,
like
absolutely.
That. What besides that, what makes your job hard?
Funding. You know, we don't have a lot of funding or financial support when it comes to prevention programs. And also the education or the idea of community engagement, or it's not really a priority for a lot of people. I think the challenge can be that a lot of people are worried about themselves, right? And always
looking out for number one.
Right. And sure, I mean, it makes sense. You do need to be okay with yourself. You need to take care of yourself before you're able to take care of other people. But I really think that we have a responsibility to each other, to care for each other, to support each other, to make sure that we're all safe. So sometimes the challenge is getting people on board and getting people to be as passionate about something as you are.
Yeah, I like that you said we need to get ourselves in order before we can help other people, because, you know, a lot of times you see people kind of making some self-destructive behaviors because they're trying to either help out their family or they're in a bad position and they want to help somebody else out. Meanwhile, they don't have their stuff together, and stuff like that could be really difficult, especially working in this type of area. And, you know.
Sure, I know. I think we've all experienced good things and trauma, right? We're all healing. We're all trying to do the best we can every single day. So it's always best to do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, to do better and to do more.
Did you ever have struggles with that?
With healing?
I guess, but just getting yourself together before, like, like having that unbalance where you wanted to help people more than you needed to get yourself together.
Sure, absolutely. So, I mean, I've been through, you know, my own things, and then having a caring nature, you always want to help other people. It's sometimes difficult because then if you're exhausted or going through your own things, you can't properly or intentionally focus your energy the right way.
Right.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you wish, like, is this all you thought it would be when you first got into social work? Like, did you have any expectations that weren't met, or, you know, just one thing that you thought it was going to be and it completely wasn't? You know, we always have ideas on how things are going to be. Like, this is the plan. This is how it's going to work out perfectly. And then it doesn't, because whatever political road bumps or, you know, work politics go deal in a place and stuff like that.
Sure. I think that you're your own expert, right? And then when you're in a professional role or like an authoritative role, you see potential in people, and you want to strengthen that, right? You want people to thrive. And sometimes it can be challenging when the person's not ready or the person doesn't want that for themselves, and you have to be okay with it. And it doesn't make them any more or any less, but at the end of the day, you have to, and it's a social